There we go. Going live. We are good to go. Perfect. Go here. I did not make the announcement, and I'm sad, but I'm not gonna deal with that right now. I was having difficulties with the actual setting it up, so whatever. What can we do? Okay, I got the notification that we are good to go. So, whoa, I do not want to do that. I do that. Okay. So, hello, people. We are here. We are back. Zilix. Thanks to Zilix, I think I was able to somewhat make my chat look decent. Okay. So, thanks to him and his expertise. I don't know. This thing is being a pain in the ass. So, interesting week 6 that we had. I still think it's somewhat ironic that people dropped out because the season was too long, and so we did the whole redraft thing and shortened the season bit, and people still didn't get their battles done for the most part. So I'm just saying, I know some people did reach out to me saying they tried to contact their opponent and weren't able to. I did try to reach out to Jack for one of his battles to find out what's going on with him, and I haven't been able to reach out to Yoder, who's my other battle. So I was supposed to have 2 battles this week, which was one against Khan, one against Yoder, and I wasn't able to reach out to Yoder. I'm going to see if I can find a way to talk to him outside of Discord, because I know that sometimes he gets a little finicky with that. And like I said, I tried to reach out to Jack on Twitter and was not able to reach him, so I'll try to see what is going on there and go from there. Alright, perfect. Everything is on the screen. That's what we like to hear. So, so for you guys, notes. So we do have 2 battles we're going to talk about today, which is Zen versus Khan and Doruk versus Sonic. Because those, besides my match against Khan, those were the only battles that happened this past week. Hopefully by next week, more people will have had their week 6 battles and their week 7 battles. That's all I'm gonna say. Okay. So to get this started, I think we're gonna transition over to the other screen. Perfect. Everything looks good. Everything looks good on this end over here. We're good there. So you guys should be seeing the screen right now. Everything should look good. Wait, I think there. Wait, no, a little bit. Nope. This. Move it up a little bit and do this. There we go. Okay, so we can talk a little bit about. Actually, I think we can just kick it off with the battles. So we're gonna do Doruk versus Sonic first, and this is the one that Zilix wanted to talk about. Like we always do, I'm gonna leave it in the background, and then Zilix can go through his mindset. I don't think I caught this battle. I did watch a little bit of the Zen versus Khan, which is the one I'm gonna talk about, and we'll go from there. Does that sound good to you, Zilix?
Yep.
All right. So we're gonna.
So just looking at the team preview here, I think both teams probably brought generally what would be expected. Obviously the big hitters from Doruk, the Walking Wake, the Ogerpon. We do see the Magnezone, which could have some interesting utility here. I've seen Magnezone actually sometimes be able to be like a bundle answer if it's or something, or maybe with the right Terra type, you might be able to take a hit and then fire back, especially if you predict an ice move, and then you can go for a very powerful analytic move to follow up, which we might see at some point during this battle. And then starting the actual battle, I think things are pretty interesting seeing the Ogerpon in the bundle. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so okay.
The Ogerpon in bundle is the lead. I don't know if I necessarily agree with the Ogrepon in the lead spot. I guess it could have been good against maybe expecting like a Whimsicott or expecting rocks from Lycanroc, but I think Bundle is the mostly lead, and then obviously able to flip turn and gets some early momentum. We do eventually see the Magnezone acting as a uh, current for Bundle, which is mostly to be expected.
Right.
Eventually, the I'm forgetting the name of the Entei
Gouging
thing,
Fire.
but the Entei paradox is shut down by that Golurk. And I think this Blissey, now that the Crown or Gouging Fire, now the Gouging Fire is down, yeah, that's what it is. The Blissey is probably gonna be an issue to break. I don't know if I agree with letting Gouging Fire go in there
Wait, but isn't I don't know how good Lycanroc is.
because there's not a ton of physical prowess that remains, and that'll allow for Blissey to soak up hits from Bundle, from Wincott. And then also losing that Gliscor against the Magnezone is probably going to be the nail in the coffin. It would be interesting to see if Zonic's able to turn this around.
I'm trying to remember. Whimsicott isn't that especially offensive, right? It doesn't have a lot of special attack.
But yeah, just seeing more of the Blissey just coming in, taking hits for free, and then switching out using both the Blissey alongside the Golurk is just an effective strategy to deal with this offense and shut it down. With the Wake and the Ogrepon just sitting in the back.
Blissey's always been a nuisance, real talk. This fat blob.
It is okay special attack. It's nothing crazy though. Sometimes people run like a Pixie Plate to do a bit of additional damage with Moonblast.
I think we might have a delayed Zilix.
But yeah, it does sort of get to a point where Sonic is just U-turning, flip turning all around, not really doing a whole lot of hurt. And yeah, once that Lycanroc is paralyzed, it is not looking great, as there goes the Lycanroc. And the unlikely showcase of the Charjabug as well, coming in clutch. I believe that's the second time Doruk has used Charjabug to some like effectiveness. Which a mon that normally, kind of a throwaway mon, but I believe he's brought it at least twice. There may have been an additional time that I'm not recalling.
No, I think he has only brought it the 2 times.
But yeah, I think. Sorry, continue. I didn't catch that.
Give me 1 second. I don't know if there's a delay. Can you hear me good, Zilix?
Yeah, it might be a little bit delayed though.
Okay, so what I was saying is that he's only brought it twice, but both times it's been a pain in the ass because he brought it against me and he brought it against Sonic.
It is proven effectiveness as a normally a low tier mon. But yeah, in this matchup against Sonic, I think losing the Gouging Fire early was a misplay, because he definitely had the capability of turning that game around if Gouging Fire was still around with all of that U-turn, flip turn support. He would have been able to maneuver around Doruk's 2 walls and overpower them, I think, with the Gouging Fire had he not pulled the trigger right away.
Yeah.
So it definitely could have gone differently. But even I think even with the Gouging Fire down, it turns into a very difficult uphill climb. I think it's still possible, but Dork played it smart and kept what he needed to win the game in the back and preserved. So that way, when the moment arose that he could capitalize, he took advantage of it and sealed the game in his favor.
Also, can we talk about how he was probably Serene Grace Blissey with Body Slam? I think that's what it was. There's no way.
I mean,
otherwise you go for Thunder Wave, right? Doesn't Blissey still have Thunder Wave?
I think it does,
So,
but I guess if you want to just guarantee a bit of damage, because chipping things like Bundle, obviously Bundle does have pretty decent defense, but just any amount of damage you can get on that thing is good, especially in the late game.
right.
So perhaps that may have been part of the strategy.
But if that's the case, why not go for Thunderbolt? Blissey's
Maybe,
special
but
attack
it's
is
probably expecting the flip turn and then just going for body slam fishes to I don't know, I guess guarantee some damage. And I guess if you're expecting like the Gliscor to come in, you don't want to like Thunderbolt as he flip turns into Gliscor and then Gliscor just U-turns into something else, and then maybe the plan was to try to shut down some of the pivoting, or at least punish it a bit.
Oh yeah, I really liked it. I think he's mainly had. I think except for his battle against me, he's always has used a Terra Magnazone. I don't think he's terrored anything else in all his past battles. Because Magnazone is a really good Terra mon to have just because of its versatility to begin with. And the fact that you can just flip his weaknesses over. Because Magnazone has a lot of weaknesses with the typing that it has. But effectively, you're able to do stuff with it that you wouldn't be able to do before. So,
yeah, both defensively and offensively, really only held back by its speed, but having an ability like Analytic to act as a really good trade-off.
Yeah, and I don't think Sonic has any steel types, so
valuable.
you would need Magnet Pull 4, right? Yeah, none at all. So you literally are free to run Analytic without any issues. So it was a good battle. GG Satoru. I'm gonna get my run back though. You'll see. I have a new team. I can deal with this thing a lot better.
New team, new you.
Yep, new team, new me. I mean, I still felt very happy about my match. If you guys didn't watch the episode or the video, I think it's the previous video to this. I might have uploaded something else. I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure it's the prior content that I posted. I really like my team. Okay, that's all I'm gonna say. Anyways, so I guess we can do Khan versus Zen, which was, in my opinion, a very interesting match. No, the whole sound off mute. Okay. Zen with his low tiers, like always, his Alolan Duck Trio, his fucking Spite Ops, and his Ditto, and all those shenanigans. Versus the very threatening team, which I think I'm pretty sure is still one of the better teams in the league, even after the redraft, because he actually didn't change his team at all, because that solid to begin with. Champao, Tusk, Iron Leaves, Raging Bolt, and he's using Florges, and he's got 2 fairy types today. Actually, I think he has a lot of repeats in here, right? No, it's just the 2 fairy types. Nothing else is shares typings outside of those 2, and they share they do different things too. So from a get go, obviously the big struggle against a team like Zen's, because of the fact that he has Ditto, is how do you handle the setup for anything you have. You can't set up on it because it just copies. Excuse me. It just copies your stat boost and everything like that. I don't recall. This, I guess, this is the question for you, in case you remember. Does Ditto copy the photosynthesis when it's activated or no?
I don't think so, because Ditto doesn't get ability, right?
No, I don't think it gets the ability. Actually, well,
yeah, so
at least in Gen A, it did. Because, like, if you switch your Ditto into a Station, you would get its +1 and then another +1 when it activates Intrepid Sword. I don't know if it does that anymore in this game, but I do remember that from Gen 8. So I don't know if it works that way here.
Yeah, we might see it firsthand.
Because if I remember correctly, the lead matchup was Tinkaton and Ditto, because I think he was trying to see whatever his first one was going to be. I also like the Spite Ops for Webs control, because as soon as Tusk is gone, then Webs are really hassle to the Chimpao and the Iron Leaves, both of which are very fast spawns. Does Leaves still have the same speed as Virizion, or is it faster? I don't remember. Is it still 108?
Iron Leaves is 104.
Okay, so it's 104. So it's slightly slower than Virizion, but it's more physically stronger and more defensive. But either way, I mean, it's always nice to have speed lowers, especially when you have 2, one base 110 with Latias, and then Keldeo, which is, I actually forget Keldeo's speed stat. I know he's faster than Terrakion, right? If I remember correctly. So
Keldeo is 108.
Okay, so Keldeo's the 108. So he was slower than Terrakion. I always thought he was faster. Anyways, still, you would always like to have that speed advantage, especially against Chimpao with his base 150 billion speed and broken ass ability. And I also like the Aurora Veil tech he has here. I just don't know why the fuck didn't alone the trios in this battle. Let me be honest. I guess, does he not have anything better for fairy types, or let me look at Zen's team. No, it's literally just the Alone Duck trio. Everything else is like either weak or neutral to fairy. That's probably why. But either way, I don't know. It's a weird pick. But like I said, if I remember correctly, the leads were Ditto and Tinkaton. So we'll just go ahead and go with that. Or not. Okay, I remember the Tinkaton was a lead, but I guess he let Ninetales into Ditto. So I remember this matchup was happening. And the pickpocket. This was hilarious. I remember this. Actually, I'm just going to let it play out. I remember the interaction of the Ditto being pickpocketed all the time. So that was funny. And I think at this point, Zen... I think from Mercury, Zen does win, but I don't remember if it was Latias or Keldeo. But the Veil is up, Tusk is coming in, webs go up here if I remember correctly. You can't stop it from going for rapid spin because Great Tusk is the best the best spinner in the game. This is the way it is. I don't know why Zen sacrificed Spite Ops here like this. The fact that he kept trying to set up hazards when it wasn't going to help him with anything. Okay, the Keldeo went down. Now I know. Latios is the one that sweeps this battle. That's the way it is. The unfortunate Mega Horn miss, but at this point, Latias is poised to sweep. Because I think it's like Calm Mind, Draining Kiss, Terra Fire, and Recover. I don't remember what the last move was. I think that's what it was. Also, this Raging Bolt set was weird. I don't know if you noticed that. Body press and all that shit. And
yeah,
I'm pretty sure he was a bulky defensive Latias because I'm still surprised he lived that shit from fucking Chin Pao. And then Iron Leaves can't kill it. Terrible. There's the Terra Blast.
It probably EV'd specifically for that.
Yeah. And there's I remember the fucking moveset. And at this point, it's literally just a sweep. He can't do anything to this Latias now that it has. By the time I got the third Calm Mind, it was over, in my opinion. Because Latias is bulky enough as it is. Like, he's literally still no chance. This Latias just came in, ran through his entire team. I think at the moment that Chen Pao failed to kill, it basically sealed the deal for this battle, in my opinion. That's literally all I can say. It was literally not. It was not even close. Latias, like always, showing why the Latias are always how do you say, always been a threat in the metagame. I know that they're not as good as they used to be because their stats aren't as potent as they were back in the day, and a lot of their stab moves have been weakened over the time. Although Latios' Luster Purge got buffed. I don't know. Did Mist Ball get buffed or no? Or did Latios not get a buff at all? I don't remember.
Mist Ball?
Isn't that's Latios' signature, like the...
Yeah. Let's see. It currently 95 power.
Okay, Zen said it there. Mist Ball drops special attack. Okay, so Luster Purge lowers special defense, and then Mist Ball drops special attack. That's actually good because then Latios becomes tankier. As for the Spite Ops, okay, I get you now. He's saying he kept it for the Rocky Helmet. Okay, that makes sense. But yeah, the knockoff made no sense. He literally used photosynthesis, or he activated photosynthesis with the... I always forget the name of
the booster.
Booster, there we go.
Booster energy. Yeah, I think this battle, it highlights the importance of setup deterrent, be it through status moves, Encore, Roar, Whirlwind, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And not having that or not bringing that to a battle, it can spell your demise.
It's definitely a big nuisance to see. And you would think after the Ditto was dead, I was expecting him to set up with something else. Okay, so he's saying that Spite Ops was there to force Chimpa to bring boots, and he had scarfed on Alone Dugtrio. Oh, you were scarfed Ninetales. Okay. Well, Ninetales didn't do anything this battle, so that's probably why besides the Aurora Veil. I'm surprised you had Scarf Veil.
Scarf Aurora Veil is spicy. That is spicy for sure.
You get stuck to that, it's over. But like he literally, I like the Terrifier. I think that the Terrifier is what really helped in this battle. I really like seeing that as a Terra type. Um, and now that Zen's here, we can ask him: were you a defensive? Because we're pretty sure you were a defensive Latias to live that crunch from Chimpao. Because like, okay, so yeah, he was. That makes sense. Like I said, I really like the Latias set here. I really think that the moment that he let him set up those calm mines, I think by the time he got the third one, it was pretty basically done because nothing else was gonna hit it hard enough.
Yeah.
I don't think Iron Leaves gets anything good to hit Latias to begin with, and everything else can't damage it enough. Well, no, because Mega even. Well, he missed. I don't think it would have done anything though, right? Oh wait, you're saying Iron Leaves has Mega Horn? Okay, well that works. I think that could work then. But
Yeah, I think
if that's all it
Terrifier was a
has-
good call. Especially because with Levitate, you don't have to worry about making yourself weak to Quakes
Yeah,
from
Tusk.
Great Tusk.
Quakes or Headlong Rush, which are the main ones they use. I don't think he had anything else that could have dealt with this Latias. Let me look at Khan's team again. No, you can't. Like, you can't. He literally brought the only mons that would have worked this battle because Clawitzer wasn't doing much against this team. You have Serena, Belly Bolt, Keldeo, Latias, Meowscarada. Like, the Clawitzer wasn't going to do anything. Dust Noir can't help you at all. And Fourier would have been a liability. So he literally brought the only mons that could have done anything here. And I just, with the mons he has, I don't think he could have dealt with Terrifier Latias in any way, shape, or form. I don't think he doesn't even have a good.
Yeah, and
yeah, he does. His only.
Also,
Sorry.
on paper, the matchup didn't look favorable, at least from team preview. But it shows that always if you have the right sets and you play properly, and your opponent just doesn't really have a whole lot to deal with it, then it doesn't really matter a whole lot what that team preview looks like if you just have a better set.
Which one are you talking about?
I meant like the matchup. If you look at the team preview, it doesn't look favorable for Zen.
Oh yeah, not at all.
Going up against.
Like I
but
said,
then
the Chimpao is
having
scary.
the right set on the Latias and playing correctly just made the matchup, a cakewalk by the end.
I think he literally the roll on Latias was literally the roll with crunch on Latias is definitely the thing that won him the game. Because at that point, like if I remember correctly, like I said, he had like 3 calm mines already by the time Chimpao came in. Let me see. Yeah, he was 3 calm mines in. So at that point, it's literally almost impossible to come back from it. What did he have? Oh, he set up on the Raging Bolt. I think this was the mistake here. If he had gone into the Chimpao after Tusk went down, that might have helped him a lot. because he wasn't even set up on this Raging Bull. Because he could have Calm Mind. We could have had a Calm Mind ward here. And Bolt might. Can Bolt come out on top here? I don't know.
Lottie has better recovery.
I just think I don't think should have been a reason to go into Bolt here. Because right now,
I mean, you're probably not expecting Calm Mind.
That's true.
Because at this point, you're pretty far ahead. You know, you've seen your opponent Terra, so he probably went Bolt thinking that maybe could force him out. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe. But yeah, because this is literally where it all started going downhill. And, you know, Raging Bolt goes for, or Latias goes for Calm Mind, and Raging Bolt can't do anything to it. Like, he literally, and this body press made no sense.
Yeah, because you don't really want to bring Qian Pao into like Terrifier Lottie. I mean, obviously in hindsight, it would have been the play.
Right. But yeah, the body press made no sense either. And at that point, like I said, he's at +3, and it's the battle. The battle was literally over at that point. Especially after he lived, and Kiss only does like 40, but Terra Blast would have killed. But either way, if he had gotten you that low, I just don't know, because you weren't even set up by then. You didn't even have a Calm Mind, which means he could have done something. Because let's assume, that's not what I wanted. Let's assume he goes into Qian Pao here instead of Bull, right? You don't kill with Draining Kiss with no HP, right? That's fine, but how much did Crunch do? I want to count that. I want to see that again. He did 60%. Okay, he did 60%. You kill him with Terrifier, right? And Bull did how much? With +1, he did 28%. At that point, there's a chance, right? Because you're forced to recover, which means he's able to just bombard you with moves. You know, that's what I think. Could have been a different route, or even how much did CC do with Iron Leaves?
Well, he outspeeds Leaves.
No, Leaves outsped it. Because he had.
Oh yeah, because he's Cork Drive. Yeah.
He did 42% with CC, so you could have done that too. There was a different route he could have gone to kill your Latias. That's what I'm saying. Like, I think his misplay was going into Raging Bolt there, because at that point you literally just sweep everything. Personally speaking.
Yeah, but it's also like when there's Terrifier Latias and you have Leaves, which is weak to Terra Blast. You have Tinkaton, which can't touch Fire type. You have Florges, which can't touch a Fire type. You have Qian Pao, which dies to Terra Blast, and then you have Raging Bolt, which like dies to Dragon move. I think at that point you use Raging Bolt to try to get damage because he had a more defensive set. So in his mind, you know, if Latias just attacks, he gets maybe 40% off.
Right.
If it's not like defensive Calm Mind, and then can revenge kill and then win the game. But yeah, obviously like CM Fire with those 5 mons, there's just not a whole lot you can do.
Pretty much.
But yeah, I agree. If he went Qian Pao first, he would have been in a much better position. But I don't know if I would have made that play if I was in the same spot of like, let's send Qian Pao into Terrifier.
Think of it this way: Do you really think you need at this point in the battle, before you know, Raging Bull came out before last. Do you really think Chen Pao is needed against Alone Ninetales and Duck Trio over everything else? Because he was air balloon on Bolt, so he can and not. I mean, obviously he wouldn't have known that it was a scarf, um, Doug, but you can't lock yourself into a move that's going to be effective against the rest of the mons that are remaining. That's my point of view. Like that's why I'm saying like the Chen Pao into Leaves play made more sense than Raging Bolt sack Chen Pao and then try to do damage with Leaves, in my opinion. Maybe that's just because the way I think about it is a little bit different. I'm willing to sack Chen Pao because I don't really feel like I need it for the rest of the mons that he has.
Whereas, I think the Chen Pao line is better. It's just it's one of those like hindsight things where he probably wasn't thinking Calm Mind.
That's pretty much it. That's literally my 2 cents. Like I said, GG to Zen for this crazy ass Ladia set. I really freaking enjoyed it. And I guess outside of that, the schedule, like, and I would be like, oh, we can talk about the schedule, but the reality is, most of these battles are probably not going to happen because they didn't happen before. But the week matchups for week 7 are Zen's going against Doruk and Jack. He still hasn't faced Mudkip Fan though. I'm going against Anarchy, and I guess the meme team if I really want to go against the meme team. I don't know if I'm going to do that, but it's a possibility. And I'm still need to face Yodeler, which I'm going to try to reach out to him some other way. Doruk is also facing Yodeler besides Zen, and Sonic is facing Yodeler. If he actually has his battle this week. And then we have Khan versus Jack and Khan versus Mudkip Fan. And Mudkip Fan is also facing off against Anarchy. And those are the matches for week 7. Like I said, I doubt most of these are going to happen, but we'll see. I don't know if there's any matchups that interest you, Zilix. I haven't really, because of what happened last week, I didn't feel like thinking about too much of that.
I think Khan versus Jack would be a very interesting matchup.
Oh, that's the one we're talking about in the beginning of the season, where you really wanted to see how these two meta teams would face off against each other. I'm pretty sure we talked about that at some point.
I think it's a tough matchup from both sides, and it'll really come down to how well they understand like the draft meta, because I mean for the most part they both drafted pretty common staples in Gen 9 draft. So it'll highlight, their strengths and weaknesses mostly on knowledge, I think here, right. Because a lot of these matchups have played out both in the OU tier and also in just draft league in general. So I think neither team really inherently is going to overpower one or the other, and it'll just come down to who's more creative and who has better game knowledge going into it.
Right. I'm definitely looking forward to that. I definitely need to get with Jack because I need him to start getting his battles done again. Because he was catching up before the redraft happened, so I need to get that going as soon as possible.
Are there any matches that catch your eye?
Let's see. I just like if I had seen these people play with their new teams last week, it would have been so much better. I guess Zen versus Doruk will be fun because we have Sun versus Hail. That's an old school battle if I've ever seen one. Weather Wars are back. So. I think that might be the one I'm just interested. Although like Zen's not even like a snow centric team because it doesn't have any snow
Yeah.
abusers. But
The advantage though is shutting down the sun.
yes, so that's what
So
I'm.
like
Because
just
even
being
though
able to at will turn off the sun is very useful.
yeah, like even though Dorg doesn't have like the most like sun abusers that we all are used to seeing, he has two very good sun abusers in his team that are incredibly strong. You have Walk Awake and Ogerpon, Heart Flame, which they're really good. And this is also a good matchup for King Gambit, ironically enough. Because I don't, unless if you got Terrafire Latias again, but for the most part, Gambit is going to be a problem. Um, and I also like the Meowscarada, the fact that Dorg doesn't really have too much for it. But actually, no. That's a lie. He's got the charger button. We're going to see
You know
the
what
charger button
beats
going in
late
at it
game?
again. It's going to be his one answer to his Meowscarada. That's going to be hilarious.
You know what beats late game King Gambit?
What?
Scarf Ditto.
Oh, that's right. King Gambit can't Terra. That's true.
It's outspeed and low kick, and then
Yep.
Ditto wins.
That is very true.
Which, if I'm bringing King Gambit, I am not putting low kick on the set. There's just no way. That's way too free.
I mean, you kind of don't need it in this battle, anyways.
Yeah, the only thing you would maybe want it for is I don't even.
I don't think you need it for anything.
It would literally just be to hit Ditto if it copies you,
Literally,
and that's assuming like you knock off the scarf, and then you're just speed tying at that point.
pretty much. I don't know. This is gonna be hilarious. But yeah, I literally
if that
just,
King Gambit dies to its own low kick, I will be disappointed.
I swear, if he unless he's like, oh, what the fuck, the Choppleberry, Choppleberry King Gambit at the end.
Okay, Choppleberry would be really funny.
Terrafite.
You
Belly
bait the
Bolt.
Ditto.
Unironically, Belly Bolt actually is good in this battle. Like it's tanky enough to tussle with most of these things.
I mean, Keldeo also isn't just gonna fall over to King Gambit.
That's true. And then he said Serena high jump kick. I don't know if you want to risk that against King Gambit. You missed that, you die. Plus, yeah, like the Ogre Palm is also gonna be a pain in the ass. He doesn't have much for it. I mean, you have things that outspeed it.
I think you go old school, Gen 6, run like a sub Keldeo, and then just calm mind it up. Like, I mean, what even happens? You set up Sun to weaken water moves, and then you just die
because
to
even Blissey can't do anything.
fighting.
This is the one. Keldeo is like the Blissey killer.
Yeah.
It's a special attacker that wants to fight Blissey, which is hilarious.
Yeah, Keldeo is really good in this matchup. Even if it isn't like a subset, just like a regular Keldeo is also really, really good.
Doric wins if he manages to keep Ogre alive. That's what I'm saying. Like, Ogerpon is probably like his biggest threat here. Especially if he keeps the sun up against your Ninetales. Because, like, the only thing that outspeeds... And, you like, Stigwood is also a pain because if he brings Hatterene, which is a viable pick here, too. Because the only thing he'd be afraid of is Doug. Everything else he can deal with relatively... without issues. Um, and he
Well,
has rapid
Nuzzle on
speed.
Hatterene is also just really good here
Yeah.
because, like, you go out into Dugtrio and the Alola one, does it have Arena Trap or no?
No. It only has the
Yeah,
one that
so
lowers your speed if you touch it, and I forget what the other ability is. Zen knows. He drafted it. Zen, what's Doug's other ability besides Tangled Hair? Sandforce? Okay, so he has
Sandforce,
Sandforce.
yeah.
Well, you can use Sandforce against a Mudkip fan with his Tyranitar. You still haven't faced him, so there you go. Oh, actually, not gonna lie, your Doug does really good against his team. The only thing it can't handle is the Rillaboom, but you have checks for that. So
On Rillaboom still probably doesn't want to take an Iron Head.
that's true.
Sandforce.
I don't know. I know he's gonna bring his damn Charger Bug again, and I swear to God,
Terrafly, Dugtrio. I mean, Charger Bug is good here. Like, it's unironically good.
literally. So Zen, prepare for that stupid Charger Bug. It's gonna be a pain in the ass for you. It walls like 4 of your mons. Serena, Meowscarada, Doug, and Chinchino.
What a stupid Pokemon that has gotten a lot of mileage.
Literally. Who would have thought? This stupid bug from Alola.
I definitely roasted the Charger Bug at one point.
You did. So did I. And look at him. Taking no damage. Terra Rock. Dude, Terra. Listen. Terra Rock is actually not that bad against Doru. Nothing wants to deal with your Latios in that way. Does Latios get Aura Sphere like Latios does or no? Because if
It does, yeah.
then King Gambit can't deal with it. So yeah, I don't know. That's why I think this is gonna be my interesting match to watch. Like,
You know, I have Latios in a different league, and
right.
you mentioned Mist Ball, and I honestly forgot that move even existed.
Zilix, no. Well, okay. To be fair, I'll give you the benefit of that. To be fair, it's not like these moves were good before. Okay, nobody is out
I
here.
was definitely clicking Psychic on.
Exactly. No, nobody
I
in
don't think it
Gen 3,
ever.
nobody between Gen 3 and Gen 7 was using Mist Ball and Luster Purge, okay? Nobody in their right mind would have ever picked those moves. So I forgive you for that.
I clicked Psychic like 4 different times so far. Oh well. I don't think it ended up mattering though. If I would have had the other move, maybe.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Like, before they were 70 base power, nobody was touching that.
Yeah.
The only reason why Latios is using it so much now is because of the fact that it got that buff. It's stronger now, and it gets the special defense drop, which helps you do more damage in the long run. So, you're forgiven for not remembering that. The only reason why I know those moves is because I'm a big Gen 3 fan, so and I've played those games ad nauseum so much, and the Lotties are really, really good mons that I really, really like. So, like, I used to draw them when I was little. That's how much I liked those mons. So, and I was a kid. I sucked at drawing. I still suck at drawing. So
Same.
I know everything.
I my main thing with the Lotties, I mean, obviously like the intro to those games where you see
Right.
them on the bike, but also in pinball, Pokemon Pinball. I
Oh,
remember
yeah, the
they were like a big
the
part
Ruby
of that game.
Sapphire edition.
Yeah, that was a fun game. I played that a lot.
Dude, can you imagine if they actually announced a Pokemon Pinball for the Switch too?
Pokemon Pinball 2.
Yeah.
I guess while we're here, what do you think about only Lumio City?
Oh, okay. So now this is I'm gonna transition out of this so we can talk about this again. Let me go. So we're gonna go to my regular, me on the screen here. And Zen can join in if he wants to in the conversation here. I was telling my wife this earlier when they announced the shit on Tuesday. Yeah, Pokemon Zaza. So my only concern with only being on Lumiose is Game Freak capable of having a good open world game in one area? Because there are other RPGs out there and other open world games that are set in one specific area. Okay, I have seen this.
Yeah.
It's not. I'm not gonna sit here and tell you I've played every game that's open world because it's just not feasible. But they're able to cram a lot into that one space. So my question is, how good are they gonna be able to? Because like Lumiose itself isn't like the biggest city in the whole franchise. When you think about it, there's definitely bigger cities, but like think of like Scarlet and Violet and Sword and Shield, the latest with like these giant ass cities that you can't go anywhere. Okay, they're gonna have to actually fill those spots. You can't just have closed off doors.
Yeah.
Like
you're gonna have to go inside. There's no way that
every building
outside only.
Every single building in this game has to have something in it. You should be able to enter every single building in this game. Because if they don't, it's over. It's done.
Unless another route they could take it in. I don't know if you've played Final Fantasy VII remake.
No, I've played a little of the original, but I've never played. I think the only Final Fantasy game I ever finished was 13, which is ironic because a lot of people say that's like the worst one in the franchise. Hilarious.
It's a little bit of like a. I don't know if Black Sheep would be applicable. I feel like 2 is the true Black Sheep in Final Fantasy, but yeah, 13, people either love it or hate it. There's few people that are kind of just like iffy on it. But yeah, so 7 remake takes place entirely in the city of Midgar.
Right.
And it's not like really open world. Like 60% of the game is cutscenes, realistically. And you don't get to explore like huge parts of the city. It's mostly just like you watch a cutscene where the characters are exploring the city, and then when you get to play, you get to explore like these segmented areas.
Right.
So I wouldn't be surprised if they did something like that, where it's more of like a cinematic experience, and you get to build your team along the way. I don't know if that fits Pokemon very well.
That's the one thing I was gonna say. Like, I don't know if that fits the mold of what Pokemon is. Like, the whole concept of Pokemon is the fact that you're out here catching wild Pokemon, which also brings up the question: how are the wild Pokemon going to happen in the city, right? Because if we're
like,
if we're doing the whole restructuring,
are you trading pinks with trainers?
I
like you beat a trainer, you take their Pokemon. Is it going to be like Gale of Darkness? Like that kind of stuff?
Zen just said it in the chat. I mean, if I wouldn't be opposed to, but like, are they actually going to go with the mindset that you're a villain again? And actually, not even then, because West isn't even a bad guy. Like, he's just edgy. So like,
yeah.
Do they go the route where you're an actual villain? I don't fucking know. And there's also the question.
I've seen some people theorizing. Some of the theories I saw, people are saying like, oh, maybe we're gonna see the city through like different time periods, and because it's Z to A instead of like the character AZ, maybe we're progressing backwards in time. So we start, and it's maybe modern, and then we go back in time and we see the city being built, and then we go further back in time and maybe we see stuff about the war and the ultimate weapon. Like, that could be really cool, but I don't know
that actually
how that would only be in one city.
I actually would like to see the time travel, because they're really pushing this whole time travel stuff these past few games, and the whole like how do I put it? Like, distant time periods, because even Sword and Shield had that whole there's gonna be a catastrophe like 10,000 years from now. So they're really toying around with this whole like Galar was never in danger unless Rose was like, oh, it's happening at some point. Oh, Zen is talking about there's
Yeah, it was like
different
in the
biomes around
future.
Lumios. So, I mean, like I said, it all depends on how they make it work. Because there is a way for them to do this properly. It's just that my concern with is Game Freak's recent track record, and because like
Yeah.
listen, I actually love Gen 8 and Gen 9 way more than a lot of people do. Like the consensus for most people is that they're really bad games. I actually really enjoy them because of certain aspects of the games.
I
Not as a whole
agree.
package. I can admit that as a package they're not the greatest. I still
As a
I was
video game, they're not good, but
yeah,
as a Pokemon game, they're good.
exactly. I still think everybody and people are saying it because they admit it nowadays. But Gen 5 is peak Pokemon. I don't think we're ever gonna get to that point again. So that's why I was happy we didn't get anything Gen 5 related because I knew for a fact they were gonna fuck it up. But um, the thing about it is even though their games haven't been great games, as Pokemon games they're really well done. They speak to what the Pokemon experience is, and I think
Yeah.
that if they have that down, if they could just make the games function properly, and actually make the world interesting, because the characters they've been getting them down. I don't know if you can agree with me on that point, because I really like the characters
I've
recently.
never been more attached to a in-game character like that didn't have like a show appearance outside of Arven. Like
Exactly,
Arven's story moved me a lot
exactly.
because I felt that as someone who has a dog. You know, that
yes.
just it hit home.
So they got their characters down. Now they just need to make the world competent. That's
Yeah.
literally all they got. And the fact that they're giving themselves an extra year is good. I'm hoping, and I saw somebody talk about the possibility of being like the beginning of 2025. I hope it's not like January. They assuming that they've been working on Legends ZA since Scarlet Violet finished development, which we know was way before the game's released, obviously, because at that point they're working on DLC potentially. But you have Team B working on the DLC, and then the main core team can start working on Legends. Then that means we've had what 2 years since they've been working on this. So giving themselves an extra year is good. And that too, that's and brings up a good point. The one problem that Pokemon has now, after they really, dove right into 3D, is you're giving us really good characters that you connect with, but they can't fucking talk. There's no voice in this game, so you're just there staring at these awkward character models flapping their gums, and you don't hear shit. Okay, so this game could be your testing ground for voice acting, and it definitely needs it. Kalos as a region, I think is okay. I'm gonna get hate for this because now everybody on Twitter is like a Kalos stan. Kalos to me is like the worst region in the series. By far. I despise Kalos. Gen 6 as a whole I don't like. So I kind of need, if we're going to do this whole building up what Lumios is, these characters need to talk. I need to feel some threats from whoever the bad guy is going to be in this game. If it is AZ and is messing up with the timeline,
even if it's just so in Octopath, the first one, it wasn't fully voice acted, but the characters would say like the beginning of the line.
Yeah.
So if the voice line was like, "Hey, let's go over to the tavern and ask for clues," like the voice acted line would just be, "Hey," and like they wouldn't say anything else. You just have to read the rest.
Right.
I would be fine with that. It could at
that's a
least
good
like
step forward, yeah.
show the emotion a little bit better. Like just those intro cues. And then I think another thought that I had was, if this Lumios thing, like, say they're building up the city, if it starts as like, oh, it's this untamed piece of land, and we're slowly like taming the land and building up things, and maybe it's like a little bit of a city builder, and you have to like do quests to calm the natural wild Pokemon down and integrate them
Right.
into the city, sort of similar to how Jubilife was in Legends Arceus, but just doubling down on that. I think that could be a really fun gameplay loop.
Right.
And it would feel like a fulfilling game. But you know, I am just a little worried about like are we just gonna get, you know, the same copy pasted buildings around every corner, and
I
it's
hope
not gonna
not.
feel very like full of life.
No, and that's the thing. Like the fact that because you know, Legends Arceus, you're actually able to go out into different areas, so there's not going to be too much variance in terms of like buildings and stuff. But the fact if you're centering the whole game on one area, nothing that there needs to be variety. That it has to happen. And for sponsors, then everybody's simping for Kalos because everybody is trying to shit on the Gen 5 fans because we didn't get anything. But listen, we were saved. We this is not the time for Gen 5 stuff, okay? That they were not gonna do Gen 5 justice. I will fight for that mindset, because the problem with Gen 5 for Game Freak right now and for all these fucking new kids is that it's a story driven game that had a story that transcended 2 games, okay? You can't just do Black and White. Okay, you can't touch Black and White without touching Black and White 2, because it's one continuous story that goes from one game to the other. So, if they had done what they did with BDSP, it's dead. You literally can't remake those games because it doesn't work, because they're the only games in the franchise where they have a sequel. That's a direct sequel to the game. A Black and White 3, you know what? I actually would take that. If they do a sequel to Black and White 2, I can actually see that. What was I saying?
Yeah, if they answer, because the what's it called? The protagonist of Black and White 1 is still missing, right? Like,
yes.
That is never resolved. And some people assume maybe Getsus killed them, but it's unclear. So a Black and White 3 could be interesting, where we learn what happened to the protagonist.
Yeah. And N is still around. Like he loses his dragon, which is fine. Because the Black and White 3, if they do a Black and White 3, you could do that whole leading up to we find out what happened to the protag of the first game, and then you work with Nate or Rosa, depending on what character you pick. So like if you pick the male character, your partner is going to be Rosa. If you pick the female character, then your partner is going to be Nate. And they have the other half of the dragon. You know, either Kieran Black or Kieran White, and then you find out what happened to, the original protag, and then find out the opposite, the other dragon, and you create the original. You finally do what Getsus wasn't able to do, or he gets involved, and then they actually merge the 3 dragons, and then you have the original dragon, or something like that. There's a lot of things you can do with that story that just hasn't been told. But at least Zygarde finally gets his game. That's the one thing I will give them. Like, one of the big issues with X and Y is that it felt like an incomplete game, because.
Well, and we got all the Zygarde stuff got pushed to Sun and Moon.
Exactly.
Like Z move, the Zygarde 10%, the Zygarde complete, the Zygarde cells. Like, clearly all of these things were planned for like Pokemon Z or whatever. And I'm hoping we get more story with AZ and the Floette and all that. And I think the title, like Z to A, it's screaming that it involves
AZ in
AZ,
some
and
form,
it
yes.
makes me wonder if maybe like so obviously the three legendaries are based on X, Y, and Z. It also makes me think like maybe there's going to be a new legendary that's like A, or maybe the thought is like the other one was always Arceus. I don't know, like
I
it
mean,
could
Arceus
be,
is the original.
and then there's like a tie-in with Legends Arceus.
They could do that because Arceus has
Yeah,
always
but
been the original
tying it
deity.
in with the trio of, because it's life, death, and what is Zygarde
Order.
for?
He's the
Like DNA.
he's the Zygarde is the what the fuck is it called? The one that maintains order. He's the embodiment of order in nature. So it basically tries to maintain what the environment is as a whole. Yeah, that's what it is. He keeps order and balance of the environment. So it makes sure that life and death is always in a rhythm, and that nothing tries to break that balance. Um, if I remember correct, that's what it is. Something like that.
there there could be maybe like, I don't know, a new legendary or something where it's like the embodiment of chaos, and
That
perhaps
that could be.
it stands like against Zygarde. I don't know, because
They could do it.
there's a lot of stuff you could do with those
They could have
Pokemon.
it to be like, you have. I know that Zygarde's supposed to be the embodiment of order and all that stuff. You can have him working with Xerneas against Evoltal and whatever this being of chaos is, because the
Yeah, that
whole
could be
point of
cool.
Evoltal is to reset everything, and then Xerneas comes in and brings everything back to life when it dies. So if you have this other legendary, obviously it's gonna use Evoltal as its pawn, because it's like, I'm trying to bring chaos to everything, and this is the one that basically causes death everywhere. So, or it's the embodiment of death itself. So that could
Yeah,
be a fun team up that we can see.
especially because in Legends Arceus we saw the legendaries being used against us, which doesn't always happen. I
Yes,
mean, it happened in Black and White, but usually we stop the bad guy from getting the legendary and using it against us. And it sort of happens in Gen 4 because Cyrus gets the Lake Trio, and he does like use their power, but then they get free.
yeah,
But in Legends Arceus, Giratina was leveraged against us,
oh yeah,
and we had to get either Dialga or Palkia to be able to fight whichever the other one that we didn't get was. So it could maybe be a situation like that again, where you have to pick, like, do you want Xerneas or do you want Eviltal? And then, maybe like the bad guy is using them to make the ultimate weapon. Like maybe that's happening again.
they could do
Or
that.
maybe we help in using the ultimate weapon, and then like we have to deal with the
The
ramifications
consequences
of that. I don't know.
that could
There's a
also be
lot
a
of
thing.
like really cool things that they set up with the whole like 3,000 year ago war, and I I hope it does not get ignored in this game. I hope we do something with it.
Yeah. And megas are back, which a lot of people are excited about. I don't know how they're gonna handle those because Legends Arceus didn't have held items. So, are they going with the Let's Go mechanics where you have the item in your bag and then the Pokemon can Mega Evolve, or that's also something
They
that's kind
could
of interesting.
also add held items, or maybe it could just be like, yeah, as long as you have it unlocked, you can Mega Evolve. I think we're gonna get new Mega starters, which is really cool.
That's one of the things I do doubt. I don't know if they're gonna go that far.
Well, because they did with, like, they gave us the megas for Gen 1, and then in Gen 3 they gave us those megas. I think it'd be really cool, or the Gen 3 remakes. I think it'd be really cool if we got like the legend style starters where 3 from different regions, and then they give them megas.
Actually,
Maybe
that could be a good
Meganium will
way
finally
to.
be good if we get a Mega
What are your
Meganium.
predictions? I'll let you go first, and I'll tell you what I think. Who do you think are going to be our three starters for this game? And you can also put some in the chat if you're watching still. Zen.
I think for sure, if it follows the Arceus trend, I think they'll pick new regions, and then they'll avoid Generation 6. So we won't see like Froakie, Chespin, Fennekin. Last time we had, it was a Gen 2, a Gen 7, and Gen 5. So we might see. I think they'd probably dodge Hoenn and Kanto since they already have starters, and that would leave us with 8, 9, and 4 as the 3 regions that, if all of those other boxes are checked, those would be the only 3 regions that would be available. So they might repeat a generation from Legends, because that would limit them. But I think if I had to choose from those 3, I think they'd probably go Chimchar as the fire one, Grookey as the grass, and then Quaxley as water. But I don't know. That might be pretty far out there.
Right. So
yeah,
my
I think what I'd want is Totodile, and that's the only thing because Totodile is the best Pokemon.
I mean, it's your favorite, so makes sense. So Zen says Snivy, Piplup, and unsure about the fire one. So here's my mindset. Before I actually started really thinking about this, because the way I said it was, when I did the predictions for whatever the next Legends game was gonna be, I saw the pattern that they had in Arceus. So it's like, okay, so this was a Gen 4 game. They had a starter from two gens before with Gen 2, a starter from the sequel gen, which is Gen 5, and then a two gens after that, which is Gen 7. So it's 3 gens after the main gen that we're dealing with. So my mindset was, if we're gonna get Gen 5 Legends, then it was gonna be like Gen 3, Gen 6, and then Gen 8 as the starters. But obviously they skipped Gen 5 and we're going to Gen 6, and that mindset doesn't work anymore, because I'm with you. I don't think they're gonna do repeat gens. So if they can't go, oh, this is Gen 6, we got Gen 4, Gen 7, and then Gen 9. Because I don't think they're going to do Gen 9 because it's too new. Or Gen 8, my bad, sorry. I don't think they're going to do Gen 9 because it's too new, but I feel like for sure we're going to get Gen 8 and Gen 4. But my reasoning after that is, like, I don't think the Megas exclude us from having them, because at least the Gen 3 starters, because the Gen 3 starters are from Oras, they're not from Kalos. So in theory, they don't count for this thing. So my idea was, we're gonna get Rillaboom. I agree with you. The Grookey is what I'm thinking is gonna be the grass one, and then I'm expecting probably Empoleon, just like Zen said. I'm thinking Empoleon, and then for Gen 3, it would be Blaziken. Either like, you can either switch Empoleon with Swampert and Blaziken with Infernape, but I'm leaning more towards Empoleon just because, just what Zen said, it's a regal Pokemon, and that whole mindset of, like, oh, the French and their French Empire and shit like that. And then Grookey, because it's so close to, like, Galar is so close to Kalos, and if we go by the logic of the way the real world works, so that one makes sense. And then Blaziken, just because I needed a fire type, and I was expecting it to be a Gen 3 starter, because I think Gen 9 is too new, and in my mind, they're not touching the Gen 1 Pokemon to give them new forms at the end.
So,
and
I
they have their
actually,
megas from Kalos.
I just had an idea though. So, we have Charizard X and Y. What if Kalosian Charizard Mega Evolves into Charizard Z?
I've seen a lot of theories about Charizard Z. I really hope to God they don't do that. Okay, listen, I already hate Zardex.
I think it could actually be. Look, I agree. I'm over the Charizard thing, but Mega Charizard X and Y are sick. It's hard to deny that. And
Okay,
Z would be
listen,
pretty
listen.
cool.
I actually don't like Zardex. Funnily enough, I really despise the way it looks.
Zardex is so cool.
Listen, if it was a different mon, I could give it to you. It just does not feel like Charizard to me. Like Charizard Y, yes, that feels like Charizard to me. Zard X looks, it just doesn't give me Charizard vibes, so I don't like it. Okay, I legitimately don't like it. So I really hope we don't get a third one, because if you give Charizard a third Mega, that means you have to give Mewtwo a third Mega, and do we really want a third Mewtwo?
Yes.
No.
Mewtwo Z. Think about it.
No.
The strongest Pokemon of all time. 2,000 special attack, 900 speed.
No.
Can use an item like Mega Rayquaza. Its stab move is psychic, but it ignores dark type, and it just one-shots everything. And they allow it in VGC, and people make 40-minute long videos about it.
That's already been busted enough. I don't want to have.
Yeah, Zacian's Mewtwo Z.
I don't want anything stronger than Zacian. I don't want to say that. I think Zacian broke the mantle. Like Mega Ray was something, and then Zacian came out, and I'm like, nah, we don't need something better than those two.
Oh, it's gonna be amazing. Mewtwo Z, it's gonna be so good. No, but think about it though. Like, so Zygarde is all about like the cells and becoming complete, and Mewtwo is all about like being a clone and him becoming complete. He absorbs all the.
Actually, that could
Mewtwo
be interesting.
Absorbs the Zygarde
since
cells.
You're talking
and
about
becomes Mewtwo Z.
Listen. Going off the Mewtwo train that you're giving me. Picture this. Zygarde is the embodiment of order and nature and the environment and stuff like that. Mewtwo is a man-made creation. It's an abomination of nature. Okay? So what if, and this is the only way I'll accept the Mewtwo Z, okay? Mewtwo is the anti-Zygarde in the game. He's like, I am the embodiment of everything you stand against, Zygarde. Okay, I am a man-made creature that is not from this planet. Okay, I am not from nature made. I'm literally against everything you stand for. That's the only way I will accept a new Mewtwo form. It is if they literally make it the antithesis of what Zygarde stands for.
Well, and think about this as well. If the game is about building the city, and Kalos has this history of building the weapons, that goes against the natural order of things. So it's like additional stuff playing into, and maybe Zygarde becomes a bit of a villain because he's fighting against civilization.
That is true.
And maybe Mewtwo makes us realize that we're progressing civilization and like man-made stuff. Like, it's gone too far, but there is some element of it that we need to keep because we can't be out in the wilds. We played Legends Arceus and we saw how dangerous it was for people. So like, the game shows us the extremes of man-made versus full natural, and everyone's an enemy.
Yeah. Okay, so Zen says that, so the hub is looming. Okay, just realized they can take us to different areas via Hoopa portals. So we got Lumios as the hub and the stories there, but the wild areas are different worlds because of Hoopa. That could be interesting.
They did say in an interview that it'll take place entirely in Lumios, but who knows if it's like a mistranslation or something that we're not fully understanding, like what they mean by that.
The other thing about Hoopa too, like thinking back on Arceus, we can't even call them pixies anymore, but the little baby legend for the game Shaman, it was just in a random garden, and that's what Hoopa is considered. Although they could do something with Hoopa Unbound, that could also be a thing. Like regular Hoopa, I don't know too much about it doing anything, but the Unbound form, I could definitely see some stuff going off with that one.
Hoopa is all about chaos as well.
That is
so maybe that could be
give it a new
tie-in.
Form.
Like Hoopa's just chaotically messing everything up, and then Zygarde's trying to restore order. I don't know. There's a lot of cool themes that they can explore, and I hope they do. Like they take the opportunities to just go crazy with the story.
I think this is the main reason why I have such a problem with Gen 6 is that there was so much potential, and the games were just, they didn't live up to it. They didn't try.
Yeah, it's crazy too, because the first 3 gyms, like the game feels so full of life and there's so much to do. And then as soon as you beat the 3rd gym, they just start rapid firing gyms at you.
Yeah.
Like it's just gym, you're done. Like a little bit of story somewhere in there, and then it's just, you're done. I think it would have been cool as well to see Diantha. I think that's her.
That's the champion.
If she had done more. Because like you meet her once in like the photo shoot thing, and then that's it. Like it would have been cool to see her try to do something about what Lysander was doing.
Actually, speaking of the freaking league stuff, because you're bringing this up, they had Mava be a part of Team Flare, and it didn't. Did I lose you?
Your internet was cutting out a little bit.
Oh, sorry. What I was saying was that she was an admin in Team Flare and the Fire Elite Four, and it never went anywhere. Nothing happened. Nothing came from that.
Yeah, I wonder. I mean, I feel like X and Y was definitely a victim of like cut content. It just shows. So I wonder if maybe they'll try to expand upon those ideas, because I know at least with Legends Arceus, they expanded some of the characters from Gen 4 by showing us like their ancestors.
Yeah.
And I mean, obviously, an ancestor doesn't define who somebody ends up becoming, but it was a cool way to like have nods to those characters and maybe show a little bit about like how their family line would have developed, like leading up to who they eventually become. So we might see some stuff with that of, maybe like a pseudo explanation as to why sometimes she's a bad guy and sometimes she's just an Elite Four member, or maybe it's just, she proved herself in the Elite Four and is just a criminal on the side. It is what it is. Like Gen 1 had the crime boss as a gym leader, so maybe
but they had a reason.
As long as you don't get caught doing crime.
Like
he was like holding the city hostage.
Pretty much. Like, it's a money front. That's what it is.
Yeah, criminal underground.
Exactly. Maul was just there. I don't even think you battle her as an admin. You literally see her. She's with Team Flare, and then you face her on the Elite Four. Like, Hey, this is where I am now. What? The hell? You let Lysander die, you're just here chilling? But this was a fun stream. We definitely have to have more like this in the future. Ironically enough, we don't have too much of a topic of the league. We can just incorporate something else. I don't fucking know. But this is. I'm definitely gonna be on the uptake, every time we get a new trailer or whatever, you're definitely gonna see me catching it and a live reaction. I'm 1 hour ahead of Zilix, and those things are way early in the morning, and I'm not gonna wake this man up at 8, 9. I don't know what time it is over there when the presents happen. I'm not gonna wake this man up at that.
Yeah,
hour.
they're usually like 9 a.m. So. I usually I watch it on my phone and then I fall right back asleep. Is usually what I end up doing.
But you will catch me. I just really need more information right now. As it stands, I am interested because I liked the gameplay loop in Arceus, but I'm also very cautious because of everything they mentioned.
What I always say is I'm cautiously optimistic. Yes. Is my go-to phrase with a lot of these new and upcoming titles.
Because, like I said, I really like Gen 8 and Gen 9, even though a lot of the consensus is that they're not that good and they're bad games, which I do not disagree with. But I enjoyed myself with Gen 8 and Gen 9, which is something I haven't had since Gen 5. And I will stick to that. Because even though Auras is fine, I still think it's a downgrade from the original Ruby, Sapphire, Emerald. Personally speaking, I know a lot of people feel that way, but I personally feel like it was a downgrade. So I haven't had as much fun since Gen 5. So Gen 6 was a buzz. I didn't even finish Gen 7, which says a lot. I didn't play Let's Go, because that shit's ass. So Gen 8 was like my last hurrah.
The shiny hunting in Let's Go was very fun.
I don't give a fuck about that. I want to have an actual interesting Pokemon to deal with. That's why I like a controversial take that I think I've said it before and I'll say it again. Controversial take. I like the Dex Cut. I actually like the Dex Cut because it forces me to experience all the new mons. Because actually that's one of the reasons why I like Gen 5 a lot. It's just because it felt like a new experience. The problem with Gen 6 is that the roster is so small that everything is just an old mon. So you literally just play with your favorites from past gens. So I like the Dex Cut in Gen 8 and Gen 9. And I hope they keep this going because I want to experience the new creatures they're creating. Okay, so that's my controversial take for the day. I'm going to get flamed in the comments if people outside of my normal viewing audience sees it, but I'm just saying. That's how I feel. I know Zilix probably doesn't like the Dex Cut, and I highly doubt anybody else in my vicinity likes the Dex Cut like I do, but I have been known to be a contrarian, okay? So I'm just going to take that in strides. X and Y is still the worst gen. I hate the X and Y anime. I'm just going to throw all my takes out. Ash Greninja is a piece of shit. The worst thing that happens to the franchise. Battle Bond is a stupid concept. And I know we're going to get it again. Because that's the whole fucking gimmick of Gen 6. If they give Battle Bond forms to the other two Gen 6 starters, by all means go for it. I just think that having it look like Ash is a stupid reason. But I'm just going to leave it there. Final thoughts, Zilix, before we end the stream.
Bring back all the Pokemon. X and Y wasn't that bad. I don't really have a whole lot to say about the anime because I haven't watched it that much. What other take? Oh, Battle Bond. Yo, Battle Bond Greninja's pretty lit. They nerfed him. That wasn't very cool.
I like that. That made me happy. Stupid ass frog. Greninja's the worst.
They did actually nerf it though.
No, I know they did. That's why I was happy about that. But that's one of Like it doesn't transform anymore, and it doesn't get the stat boost. It's just you get like +1 in attack, special attack, and speed or some shit.
Yeah.
And you lose it if you switch
its
out.
base stats don't change. Yep.
But if you watch my rankings of the starters, which Zillig should watch that stream that I did. But like, Greninja is the only Pokemon in the history that I actually hate. Send it. That's it. Okay, we're done.
For me, it's Toxapex.
Oh, that's because it's competitive. Toxapex is toxic.
I just don't like it.
I like using it. But anyways, we're gonna leave it off there. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed my hot takes. Okay, I'm the Pokemon contrarian. I go against what the norm is. I've always been that way, and I'm always gonna stay that way because I like what I like and I dislike what I dislike, no matter what everybody else says. But we will leave it off there. I'm gonna try. Well, I haven't had my battles yet. I'm gonna try to have my battles out over the weekend. If not, and then have the videos out Monday, Tuesday, if I get them done. And I'm in the middle of marathoning Pokemon Horizons and making the episode reviews for each one. And my plan is, as soon as I catch up, then I'm gonna edit all my reviews back to back and have them published. So you're gonna get spam. Zilix, I'm sorry. I know you're still subscribed to me. I'm gonna spam the fuck out of your subscription box because I'm behind like 13 episodes or something like that. So you're basically gonna get back to back Horizons reviews for a while. As soon as I catch up with them, obviously. Who knows when that'll happen. But that's it. Thank you guys so much for watching. Once again, thank you to Zilix for joining me on this adventure. And we will be back next week with week 7 review and week 8 discussions. Like I said, I hope people get their battles done this weekend so that we are able to gauge better everything that's going on. So say goodbye, Zilix, and then I'll say goodbye myself and go from there.
See ya.
All right. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you're watching the playback, come join us next time. That's all I'm going to say. Later.